Oh, how we long for the kind of Minnesota spring that recharges the spirit. But this time around, we're faced with the pandemic, risky politics, a failing economy, and global warming. Patty Acomb co-chairs the Climate Change Action Caucus in the Minnesota House.
We're here to share our package of proposals for climate actions that we can take on this session.
There's a lot of action needed. Patty and other Minnesotans are well aware of this.
But farmers are also saying something else. They're saying, we want to be a part of the solution.
Electric buses are already on the roads in many of our cities, but the funding in the bill would help clean up our air.
We are nearing the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, but we're not even close to environmental justice at all.
The Minnesota Climate Action Caucus is headed by Representative Patty Acomb. Welcome to Democratic Visions.
Well, thank you, Jeff. It's great to be here.
How long has this been a caucus?
Well, it was over the interim that we formed, and it was formed by me and a lot of my fellow members at the Minnesota House. There's about 55 of us that are a part of the caucus.
That's a large caucus.
It is, and it's a large caucus because it's a large problem. And we recognize the importance of the climate crisis that's facing us, and it shows how important this issue is to all of us. And so it's a large group of us, but it started over the interim. During that time, we looked at a lot of different issues through the lens of climate change. And so we had meetings on healthcare and housing and energy and transportation, and all really to come up with ways that we can address the climate crisis within our state. And so it started over the summer.
Now, during the press conference on February 17th, I noticed there were representatives from different parts of the community.
Yeah.
Were they part of the discussions last summer?
Absolutely. And this is something that impacts all of us, and it's going to take all of us to solve this really big problem. And so the members of the caucus are many in the metro and in the urban areas, many from greater Minnesota as well. And so the press conference was a great chance to bring all of us together to really show how united we are on this really important issue.
Patty, outside of the elected members of the caucus, you're working with people outside of the legislature as well. Who are some of them?
There are a lot of nonprofit organizations that have helped provide information and been a part of the meetings that we had, and as well as state agencies. We had representatives from Minnesota Pollution Control and the Department of Health. We had members from the University of Minnesota and many different departments, as well as representatives from the Sierra Club and Conservation Minnesota and Fresh Energy, and I can't forget the youth with the Climate Generation. There's a large contingency of youth that are very activated on this topic, and so members from different colleges around the metro area that were able to come and participate in the hearings. And so it's a broad group of people all focused on really an important issue, probably one of the most important issues of our time.
Now, in the legislature, are the members of the caucus, do they have to be just of one party, or are you Republican and Democrat?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And when we started, it was all Democrats, and we were the DFL Climate Action Caucus. And as our group kind of grew and evolved, we recognized we're not going to be able to solve this big crisis if we don't have everyone at the table. And so while we want everyone to agree upon certain principles, and those are that recognizing that the climate crisis is real and that it's caused by human actions, we opened it up to everyone within the Minnesota House. And so we made an invitation and asked everyone to participate.
And the invitation is still open, right?
It is, yes.
Good,
we
good.
are a growing group, and we hope more people will continue to join us.
Well, I hope so too, because it's a nonpartisan issue right now.
Yeah, you're right. It impacts all of us, and it shouldn't be a partisan issue.
Now, is the caucus forwarding various separate bills, or are you coming up with just a package of bills for possible omnibus bill passage?
We started out with the intention of developing a climate action plan, and really to look at formative and transformational policy change that we could all get behind to support. And while we're still working on that climate action plan, we decided that given the situation we happen to be in today, and that's where we have a budget balance and an opportunity for some one-time spending, we decided it was a great chance to look at something that we can do now. So we came out a couple of weeks ago with a package of bills that are we were calling our can-do climate action solutions.
For this term, right?
Yeah, so what we want to do this year is look at a way to utilize some one-time spending opportunities. And so we put together a list of bills that will give opportunities to Minnesotans all across the state to participate in the solutions. And we are calling it our Can-Do Climate Solutions.
Kind of shovel-ready legislation.
Absolutely.
That local cities, towns, name some of them.
Yeah, so we kind of divided them up into different groups and ways of attacking the climate crisis. And so there's ways that we can do efficiencies around buildings and looking at ways that schools can invest in energy efficiency within their buildings, ways that nursing homes can do the same thing, looking at efficiencies. Looking at the transportation sector, wanting to focus on transit, and so building out our bus rapid transit system, recognizing that we need to get more people on bus and out of their single cars. Knowing that we need to electrify our transportation system, and so offering rebates to people who want to buy electric vehicles. Wanting to expand our use of renewable energy, and so finding opportunities for solar energy. There's a bill, one of the ones that I'm personally authoring is solar on schools, and so we want schools who spend a lot of money on teachers and their second budget item is on energy. And so if they can use renewable energy and put solar panels on their schools, they can then save that money and put it into the classroom. And so finding ways to expand our renewable energy use. And then also looking at environmental ways that we can improve this issue. And so recognizing that agriculture also causes greenhouse gas emissions. So are there ways that we can use the Conservation Reserve Program and put more lands that aren't great farmland into areas that can sequester carbon naturally? And so it was really a broad look at opportunities that we can improve the climate crisis and things that can happen all throughout Minnesota and everybody can see and be a part of.
Your package of proposals, some of these things will pass this year.
I'm hoping. I would love all of them to.
Yeah, but there's more to be done. So this is going to be a long-term caucus, I would imagine,
It
not
is.
just for the session.
Yep, and as I said earlier, we're still going to develop a climate action plan, and that's going to be long-term focusing. The can-do climate solutions are really focused on one-time spending with the budget reserves that we have today. And so we're also going to have this climate action plan that looks forward and is broad and transformational, and we will look to continue to improve upon that each year, each and every year, frankly.
Is there a comparable caucus in the Senate?
There is, and it's headed by Senator Nick Friends from Mankato.
Where we are today goes something like this. If your house was on fire, wouldn't you want to start by asking how badly the fire is burning before arguing about the cost of the fire hoses? What we need to do in the Minnesota Senate is hold hearings on the causes and effects in climate change. What are we afraid of? Let's find out what the truth is. Let's drill down and do what we do best in the legislature, which is bring witnesses forward from the community.
We work together on some issues. We talk about initiatives that we both want to see happen, and I'm really looking forward to in the fall when, after the election, that there might be an opportunity we can actually get a lot of this stuff done. And so there's support in both houses, or in both bodies, excuse me.
Could you tell viewers how a bill will go from a caucus to a committee and then over to the Senate, or vice versa?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think people don't necessarily always understand how a concept does become reality. And so we, in our Climate Action Caucus meetings, we heard from a lot of experts about areas that needed improvement. And so whether it's around air quality and public health, we took that and then went and worked with our House research to write bills around electric buses. And so if we can implement electric buses, we can improve air quality. And so we wrote these bills. The bills are going through the committee process, and they will meet in different committees from energy to health to finance committees, and then pass hopefully out of the House, and then the Senate hopefully will have a companion bill that can be the same, then go to the governor for signature.
Sure, I would imagine Governor Walz will support stuff.
Governor Walz has been super supportive, and I think that as you look at the work he's trying to do around the clean car standard, I think there is a recognition that this is an important issue that we all need to work on. I think doing the clean car standard is going through a rulemaking process rather than a bill process, and so that can actually, given our divided legislature, has the hope of becoming realization even with our divided legislature.
Patty, thanks for coming.
Oh my gosh, thanks. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Representative Acomb can be reached at the Capitol by phone at 651-296-1928. Patty can also be reached via Facebook.
Democratic Visions is handcrafted by volunteers from Eden Prairie, Hopkins, Edina, Minnetonka, and Bloomington. Watch us on select cable systems and on our YouTube channel. This is Carol Sundstrom.